Joined by Bridget Taylor, one of our guidance team, so it's great that she's here, and Cam Todd from SDS, so Cam will be speaking about the work that SDS are doing with our S2 pupils as well. And I'm just going to kind of go through the process, and we'll leave a bit of time at the end for you to ask questions and take it from there. And I'm guaranteed we'll be finished and have it wrapped up so we can get downstairs to start the appointments just before 5 o'clock. So really, first and foremost, this is really the first time that our pupils in S1 and S2, as they get to S2, they're now starting to pick subjects for the first time. So it's a big moment for them, so we appreciate that. And our advice, and I know Bridget will say more about this, is really to think about, first of all, what they really enjoy. Secondly, some of them might have an inkling about what they want to do when they leave, but not many, usually quite clueless. And it's just to keep things broad where they can, unless they've got a very specific career in mind where they might need to choose a range of subjects. So for most pupils, we tend to say keep it broad. You can specialise later in their school careers. The choices they pick now, the 8 choices they pick now will be the choices they'll then continue with in S4 after dropping 2. So the national courses in S4 will be drawn from these 8 they're going to pick now. When they get into the senior school, that's when they can go back and pick up courses again at National 5 level. You know, they can maybe revisit a course if they think they've made the wrong decision. So not to choose a subject now doesn't mean to say that subject's closed forever. There's a chance to get back to that subject and take it as far as higher level in 5th and 6th year. But we'll discuss that more in a minute or two. So I suppose the first thing is just what we're looking at tonight is the key dates, where the materials can be found, support and advice is available on completing the course choice forum, and just how to complete it. It's pretty straightforward, but I thought I'd include that also. And of course the key dates, and I suppose the most important one now is Friday the 17th of February. I'm happy to have option forms in early. If they're finished early, that's great. It won't make any difference to availability of courses or anything like that. I'll be starting to, I just input them into my computer and then start to work with them after Friday the 17th of February. But early option forms are always good. Allows me to start inputting them a bit. So what support and advice is there for parents and pupils? So I'll hand over to Cam to say a few words about SDS.
Yes, so
Can I get you just stand there?
yeah,
I should say we're recording this tonight for any parents who couldn't make it.
So hi everybody, I'm Karen, I'm one of the careers advisors here. We've got a team of 5 careers advisors working in school. So you might have had some of your young folk coming home and saying, oh, I've had a careers appointment today. I'm sure you probably haven't. Many of you that them will have said anything about it at all. But we've been seeing S2s for the last few weeks, and we're pretty much through most of them. I think by the end of this week we'll have seen nearly everybody, and then we'll be mopping up, seeing everybody that's left before the deadline for subject choice. So it seems a bit strange giving careers appointments to S2s because they're not at the point necessarily where they're thinking very far ahead at this stage. So our careers appointments are not to tell us what job you're wanting to do in the future. It's nothing like that at all. We touch on all options for them. So they look at options for doing things out with school that are going to build their strengths and their skills for the people that are going to be in the future. So our careers appointments, we do look at subject choice for those that want to. We do touch on subjects that are needed for certain careers. But the most of what we do is kind of demystifying our service so that they will come back and see us in the future if they need it. And we have a great fun interviewing the S2s. They get 25-minute appointments, and then they're welcome to come back another time if they're confused or if they need more support. And I'm here tonight as well if you want to ask any questions about subject choice yourselves in relation to careers and subjects that are required. I think it's very different. As parents, you probably know that when you were at school, you probably were told that you had to take a science and you had to take a language and this kind of thing, and that's all completely changed. So that can be a bit confusing for folk. You know, what if they drop all their sciences and then they need them? So we do have these discussions with them. If somebody comes and says to us, well, I'm not wanting to take any sciences, I don't like it. You know, we do have that discussion with them just to make sure that they're aware of the types of careers they might need sciences for. So that's really all I've got to say. Is that okay? Is there anything that I've missed?
Don't think so.
No? But we'll be here. There'll be a couple of us here downstairs later on if anybody wants to come along and have a chat.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to talk to you from a guidance perspective, what our role is and how we support the S2s. Lovely to see so many of you here tonight, by the way. We will have at least one lesson focusing on the course choice process. So we give them, some of you might have seen the white practice forms. So we'll give them practice forms, go through that and explain to them how to go through the process. And then in a week or so, we'll give them green forms, which are the final forms that they need to fill in and hand in to us, and then we sign them, and that's put forward for the course choices. We also show them the My World, I don't know if you mentioned this, the My World of Work website, which is something that Karen shows them, I think, sometimes as well in their careers appointment. But that's something that will show them. Many of them have got accounts already from primary school, but that might be something for you to look at with your child as well. There's an option choice facility, so you can put in the options, then it comes up with suggested careers. You can look at different careers and find out what subjects might be needed for those. So the guidance team have got more details of My World of Work, and there's also another site we recommend called Planet Plus. So we've got links to those if you want to come and see one of us and pick up a little form which gives you details. Just to reiterate what Neil said, really, we encourage them to choose what they enjoy and what they're good at, because that's going to be a subject that they'll hopefully do the best in if they're enjoying something. We'll give them, we'll encourage them, maybe give them some advice on their choices, but it's great if you can have a chat to them. You know, if we're all sort of working together to support that, that's great. This year as well, we're also doing individual appointments with all our S2s. So we'll have a 5-10 minute chat just to see where they're at, what they're thinking about, and if they've got any questions, along with Karen, you know, they can speak to us about that too. And yeah, if you have any questions, please come and ask us. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to just talking about the various different online resources that are available, just to give you a bit more information. One of these is what we call the course descriptive booklets, and that just gives details of all the courses we're running in S3, because I know some pupils want maybe a wee bit more information about some of them, and that gives you a chance to look at them as well. And they're on the website. I'll come back to that in a second. And we've also got on the website further details about the senior phase, and you can see actually what we call curriculum maps. You can see the journey you can take to a particular subject, and in most of our subjects all the way up to advanced higher. That gives you an idea of some of the courses you would follow on the way to, and that links it. This presentation will be on the school website if anybody wants to look at it again and pick up the links. And as Bridget said, the pupils right now, they've got their white draft option forms. Next week the final versions will come out, and these are the ones will get handed in and then get signed by the guidance teachers and given to me, and I start the process of putting the courses together. All of these materials can be found on the school website, just under the options banner there, and just click on that and you'll see there's S2 to S3 options there, and that's where the senior option materials go. You'll also find the course descriptors I mentioned earlier. That's a document that's in there, got lots of good information, and you'll find copies of the choice sheet too. And this is something else, because I know we often, third, fourth attempts, these option sheets, things are scored out, they get a bit messy, so it's always good you can get another copy from the website if you need one. So really, the bit at the end, completing the option form itself. What we see here, and I'll zoom in on this in a minute, these are all the subjects that are on offer. All the pupils will study English and Maths, and there are some core subjects that pupils don't choose that they just do. So RMPS, there's core languages, there's PSE, and there's PE as well. So everybody all the pupils do these subjects, and the choices follow from there. So English and Maths there, not optional, and then you start putting your choices in drawn from the subjects that are here. If pupils could put these in an order of preference, because my job is to make sure everybody gets the choices they pick, but I do ask pupils to put 2 reserves, because you can imagine of a year group of 161 pupils, I think we have S2 going into S3, around about that number, there might be a clash. Because some of the smaller subjects might only have one class. So last year I think we had one music class in S3, for example. And we might have 5 biology classes. Just depends on the combinations. I may have to go back to a pupil and say, I'm having trouble with choice 6. I can't get I can get all the rest of your subjects course, but I can't get the 6th one course there. I might need to use your first reserve. And then I'd send them off to speak to you guys, and they would come back to me, because they often go, well, actually, I wasn't so sure about choice 5, can I swap that one? And I start to work with them at that point to try and get as many choices as they can. It's usually never choice 6 that I need to muck about with. I usually get everybody else's course no bother. But it just depends on how the subjects work and what the uptake is like for each. Does that make sense? So, order of preference all the way through into reserves would be great. We talked earlier on about the curricular areas. This is a free choice model, so we're not forcing somebody to choose one science, one social subject, a modern language, expressive art, a technology, because we know some pupils might want to do 3 sciences. That's what they're into, that's maybe what they want to do. We also might have some pupils who are really, really strong in expressive arts. They might want to do at least 2 of these. And what we didn't want to do is restrict that choice. But if the pupil's not sure, then a really good way to tiptoe through this process is perhaps to pick one from each, if they're really unsure, and keep their options broad. Or you could do 2 sciences, then try and pick one from each from there. You know, it's just that mix and match, and try to get an idea, because remember, when you go into S3, they're just going to drop 2 of these subjects and carry on with the other 6 as national courses. Does that make sense? Any questions about this part of the kind of process so far? It's relatively straightforward. S2 going into S3, it gets really complex when you go into S3 to S4, and college courses come online, and early etc. I've got 2 subjects. Yeah, and just write the subjects name in there. Really, really straightforward. Sign off the form there. It's brought into the school to the guidance teacher. Yeah.
Just a quick question, just on before, because you had, you know, the set date, so you've got the 17th of February as the cut-off.
Yep.
So you're saying if you get in early, you can start working this out. So
I start
when you're talking about the reserve, I'm
No.
saying if people get in later,
No.
are they more likely to end up?
What I mean is I just start, I actually physically input the data,
Oh, right,
every
okay.
sheet,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
and it's a some job when 150
Okay, I
will
just
come in on
wondered,
the
yeah.
last day, so
Yeah.
it helps me a wee bit.
No, I'm
just
just
to
making sure
get
that
ahead.
my advantage being like that.
There's no advantage to hand them, as long as they're in by the date. If someone starts coming in late, though, that's when they're in danger of restart the work on it,
Okay.
and then perhaps a choice may get full, or if it's a late sheet. But if they're on time, then it's nobody's
Just
disadvantaged.
wanted to-
Yeah, no bother at all. And again, that's just thinking about the S3 structure. And I'll have a look here at the course index. This is what S3 looks like. And as I say, added into that, the course subjects takes up to 32 periods a week. We've got another period for registration, which takes up to the 33rd period, and that's the full school week. So each of the choices that they pick, the 8 choices, is 3 periods a week. That goes up to 5 periods per week for their courses when they go into S4. And that continues in S5, higher class, the courses are 5 periods a week, advanced are so on and so forth. And just to reiterate, if you're unsure, keep it broad. And that's the best advice we can give. If you're really, really sure, that's fine. You can go into the subjects you really want to do, even if it means you don't perhaps do a social subject, so you might not do a science. Looking ahead, as I've said, the subjects pupils picking S3 will decide the final 6 qualifications to do in S4. That will then probably lead them into some higher courses in S5. However, pupils can choose another National 5 course to do in S5 they've never done before. So if you said, oh, you know, by the time you get to 4th year, I really should have done biology. I've missed that, I'm worried about that. You can do biology as a standalone National 5 course in 5th year, and then still go and get the higher biology in 6th year. So you're not closing any doors that way, because folk do change their mind, and we're aware of that. So these pathways are always open. There are a few new subjects that come on stream in S4, such as fashion textiles, so that in college courses too, that you can do. So that's the one caveat to choosing your 6 subjects for S4 from the 8 you chose in S3. So college courses, there's a huge range of college courses available for our S3 and S4 pupils, which you'll see next year. Now, I know I've went through that quite quickly. Has anybody got any questions? Anything for Carlos?
And the core subjects, are they done in S3 and S4?
Yes.
So they're carried on?
Yeah. Not modern languages, only modern languages core in S3.
Okay.
It's part of the 1+2 initiative to try and keep modern languages kind of alive, because we don't have a huge uptake in the modern languages department. We try to grow that, but we just want everybody in the school to get, keep access to modern languages. But they continue with RMPS, they continue with PSE, and they continue with, I'm forgetting one? P, of course. And they do
And
that.
so if you chose to do French as a subject, would that be your core subject too, or would it have to be a different core subject? So if you chose French as a choice, would you then have to do Spanish, for example?
Mr. Pesce, or the PT, the pupils who choose French as one of their subjects, he then tries to make sure that's backed up during core time. So it actually enhances what they're
So
doing.
you will get an
Yeah.
extra, yeah.
Yeah, to try and get extra kind of help in it, because that's the ones he's obviously are going to go on and do their national courses in languages. So the extra period is really, really handy.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the PE ones. If you choose an elective, so your choice is PE, that's then backed up by another two periods of PE you get in core. So you'll start getting quite a lot of PE. And in the fourth year, you can have up to 7 periods of PE on your timetable. If that's, if you're really interested in sport and you like the sport, then a lot of them really enjoy that in S4. Yeah.
So obviously if you've not chosen something and you realise you've made a mistake, you can add. Is that restricted to 1 or 2 subjects, or if you really think you made a complete mess of it and you really want to go down a completely different route, will you be able to add more than that? Or
The difficulty with changing is that some of the S3 courses will cover content we're going to need for our S4 exams. Because we want to start early and use S3 to make sure skills, preparation, in some cases, some of the content, so
so
it
it
would
mean
be,
more than the S5 if you realise you've not done, and
it'd be the S5 you'd go for that then.
but is there a sort of limit, a theoretical limit
No.
on how many you could
No,
start again from if you wanted to?
the only thing you'd have to decide is, you probably, perhaps would want to go into higher courses, as you move from S4 to S5. So if you start to do other national fives, you may be limiting that. And most pupils come back in S5 and just do national fives. It just depends on where they are and what your progression is. So it wouldn't necessarily be a problem. And that's just something the guidance staff will talk somebody through and just kind of go, right, what's the best model for you now? Or perhaps your national 5 course didn't go as well as you expected. You might have to reset a course in S5. So there's lots of different pathways to get successes, which is what we're trying to do. And like I said, most subjects go right through advanced higher level in 6th year, but many 6th years choose to do an extra higher rather than advanced higher course too. So there's many different routes. Does that make sense? Does that answer that question? Okay, thank you. I'm conscious of time and I know you want to get downstairs to start speaking to teachers, but any other questions?
Can I just ask, sorry, because obviously when I was at school you did 8 subjects at standard grade, which
Yep.
is obviously, so what is the relevance of only doing 6 now? So that seems quite limiting and you should know.
The idea of doing 6 is to spend more time on that 6.
Okay.
So the idea would be we spend 5 periods a week on these 6 qualifications, which get a better quality qualification. It also means that our 4th years and 5th years and 6th years can all be in the same class, which means there's much more choice for everybody in the senior phase of the school. And most of the national 5 courses are made up predominantly of 4th years. A 5th year can choose from that too. It means you can do 6 in S4, you can do another 6 in S5, and you can do another 6 subjects in S6, so there's actually 18 possible qualifications, which would then take you way beyond requirements for university, higher courses, etc. So you reduce the numbers of courses in S4, but enhance the number of courses in S5 and S6. There's more choice across the school because everybody's picking from the same choice of subjects. So I wouldn't have a S4 history class, then have to create another S5, S6 history class, all doing national 5. We can just do it all together. But it's quite, there's a lot of debate. About half Scottish schools do 6, another percentage, maybe 25% do 7, and then you've got some schools who still go for the 8. So there's a lot of debate as to what's kind of best.
It just seems odd to do it and then drop it. Like,
Yeah.
why do it?
Why do it in the first place? Yeah, it's
Well, no, why not do 7 then?
Yeah.
Why choose 8 and then drop 2 and then...
it's just trying to get equal, let's try to work a structure along, putting it along the core, and try to give every subject the same amount of periods if we can.
But then you're giving core people they're choosing the subject. It's just,
Yeah.
you can't choose your core, but
Yeah.
you've got to do them, whereas you're actually dropping it. It's just, it just seems...
There is a lot of debate about it, and about 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of the schools went to what we call senior phase, where 4th, 5th and 6th years treated as almost one cohort and timetable together, and do 6, 6 and 6. Previously it would have been 8, 5 and 5.
Yeah. So do you find a lot of people then are going back to pick up courses that they haven't done because they haven't done 8 courses they didn't expect?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the S5's open, you need another 5 courses or 6 courses in S5.
Mhm.
You can then go and pick up the courses that you're after. We don't have many pupils who do the full 18. We tend to have 6, often 5, particularly if it's higher courses, then another 4 on top of that. Although the pupils have got the opportunity. We had a pupil last year who did 6 advanced hires on top of their 6 hires. I think it's one of the few pupils we've had have done 18, all A grades, all the way through. So it's a fantastic achievement. It just shows you what is available for the pupils should they want to do it. But for most pupils, they don't need all these courses.
Mhm.
They'll probably be looking for the 5 hires to get to university, for example, in 5th year. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for coming. That's great. Just a few minutes to get downstairs for us. Thank you very much.
Thanks.